call to order the Beaufort County Storm Management Utility Board for December 11th, 2024. First on the agenda is to approve today's agenda. Do I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I move we approve.
So I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Good to see you. Today's agenda is approved. We have the minutes for October 14th. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? There being none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting of October 14th, 2024?
So moved. I
Sec-
second.
Thank you. All those in favor? The minutes are approved as submitted. Last month, we came up with a potential calendar for 2025. Our next meeting will start the year in February. Is there any conversation that needs to be had about the calendar?
I'm happy. Okay with me.
Okay, gentlemen? Do I have a motion to approve the calendar for 2025 stormwater meetings?
That's so moved.
Thank you. Thank you. All those in favor? We have an approval for the 2025 meeting calendar of the Stormwater Utility Board. At this time, we will have introductions. We'll start with Bradley. Do you want to start?
Bradley Harriet, Beaufort Public Works. Alice Howard, District 4, liaison to Stormwater.
Tammy Doe, Stormwater Business Manager.
Pat Taylor Brewer, Stormwater Program Manager, Beaufort County.
Sally McLeod, Senior Administrative Assistant, Stormwater.
Van Willis, Temple Rule.
Dennis Ross at large.
Ed Warner, Hilton Head.
Patrick Mitchell, representing Ladies Island.
I'm Mark Feinberg, and I represent unincorporated District 9 in Daufuskie Island.
James Clark, represent unincorporated Port Royal.
Ron Buchanan, St. Helena and Islands East.
I'm sitting in for Bill Bauer today. I'm Beth Lewis with the Town of Bluffton.
Please have a seat up here then.
Lucky you.
Jake, you going? I'll come up.
Thank you. Welcome.
Ty Petty, Director, USCD Water Quality Lab.
Anna Roberts, lab manager at the CD Water Quality Lab.
Laura Wilson, Aldwood.
Jim Lawton, Aldwood.
Brian Durrance filling in for Nate Farrow. He apologized, but he had a meeting he couldn't get out of.
Are you going to present today for Nate?
No.
Thank you. Then you may be seated.
Thank you.
Bill Bosford, Bluffton, Aldwood.
Jan Bosford, Denise Hathaway, Aldwood.
Lamar Hathaway, Aldwood.
And I'm Matt Kraft, Disaster Recovery Manager of Beaufort County. Just wanted to come in and attend. I've never been to a stormwater utility board meeting before, so
Welcome.
thank you.
It seems to be somewhat out of order here, but we have time for public comment at the beginning and at the end of the meeting. Do we have anybody who wishes to make public comment at this time? Come forward, sir.
My name is Jim Lawton, Aljoy in Bluffton. Just to reiterate a prior request that you look to evolve towards at least one meeting south of the Broad of the Stormwater Utility Board.
We will look at that for the coming year.
Great, thank you.
There are several of us on this panel that are from south of the Broad, so we'll try to see what we can do. I just want to comment on that comment. The reason that we generally have the meetings here is because the audio-visual staff is present here and it's much easier on staff and the audiovisual personnel to have it here. But we will look into having it a meeting south of the Broad. It may be outside, it might be at a venue when we see what great work we've done in Alljoy.
You can come to my house.
Thank you for the invitation. Any other public comment at this time? I don't see Mr. Charles Sullivan,
He was unable to make it today.
so I guess we could have amended the agenda at that time. Sorry, folks. First report we have is by Dr. Petty for our monitoring update.
Thank
Doctor?
you. I don't have a whole lot to say, except that we're plodding along, continuing to do the monitoring. We finished up third quarter for the county, continue to service Bluffton. The bigger announcement I would like to make is that Anna Roberts is we finally got a lab manager hired for the water quality lab, so very excited about that, and that'll make our operations much more fluid and streamlined than what they have been while we were short-staffed. So.
Well, welcome, thank you. Glad to have you, Anna. I know Dr. Petty's much more
Very
thrilled than I am.
I am. Questions?
Anybody have any questions of Dr. Petty? Municipal reports. Van, you have anything for us?
Yeah, we've got two significant contractor work. The downtown Port Royal area, one involving West Paris, Madrid, Paris Avenue that will tie into the Cypress Wetlands. And the second is a revamp of the entire system in the Villages neighborhood. So those are two that we are undertaking at the moment.
What are we doing in Villages neighborhood?
Rebuilding everything.
Town of Bluffton.
Yes.
So we just have, we've been working on developing wetland and resiliency zone protection ordinances. We anticipate that going before our town council to work with a consultant in January. And then we're also in the process of updates to the town's SoLoco stormwater design manual. And we anticipate, or our hope is that those will be adopted in early 2025.
Are there major substantive changes from the county's SoLoco?
To be honest with you, Andrea Moreno in our office has been spearheading that effort. It involves, I think she's spoken with Taylor as they've worked together to coordinate some of those changes. I think we're maybe in a different part of that process, but there are some changes that will match the counties.
Good.
Nothing to report from Townsville at this time.
Hopefully you're dry over there. Mr. Carter? I don't see Mr. Carter here.
He had to take his son to the doctor.
That's okay. He's not here.
He is not here, but his, there is a short, I feel notice with our new report form. His executive summary, as we're gonna call it, is a one-pager. But if you would like the full report with pictures like we used to get, we have that as well upon request.
Now, I don't think it's necessary. I think that the idea was to streamline it and let people see it if they need the specificity of those diagrams and maps.
Were we going to, and I didn't know the difficulty of this, were we going to have those reports with a hyperlink to it so that we could access it? Is that still in progress?
We can do that, yes, sir.
I think that would be easy so that we could review it at home, and then if we had an issue here at the meeting, we could always bring it up, and then we could.
I think the idea is, speaking not for you, but along with you, the idea was to get it up front and early so everybody can take a look at it, and if they have questions, then they can question Mr. Carter, as opposed to Mr. Carter talking about how many linear feet here
Right.
and there he took care of.
Right.
Got it. And we also are working on your request to have that form facing in some form for the public on our website. We're
Perfect.
figuring out what sort of form
Perfect. Is there a time
I was gonna
frame?
say, is that gonna roll out in 2025?
Okay. That's one question I don't have to ask.
You had too many
I
questions.
did.
Mrs. Howard, our liaison, would you like to address us today? Do you have anything for us?
I really don't. Oh, yes, I do.
I thought you did.
Hello.
I would not have asked, you know.
Big hint there. Monday night, we reappointed Patrick Mitchell back to the Stormwater Board, and we had to have 10 out of 11 votes, but it was unanimous, so that was good. So congratulations, we're glad you are still willing to serve.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Howard,
Okay.
for your support and supporting Patrick. And Patrick, thank you for willing to go for another 4 years. You are the senior person here in terms of years on the board and institutional memory. So I think Ladies Island is thankful to have you.
Thank you.
Ms. Brewer?
Thank you, Chairman Freimer. Good afternoon, board members. Before you leave, make sure that we have swag bags for y'all, little samplers of our educational outreach swag from Stormwater. So I have bags over there for each of you, so make sure you see me before you leave.
Hopefully they're doggy bags.
There are doggy bags in there, but there's also some reusable silverware and an umbrella made from recycled water bottles and all kinds of other cool stuff. So we do appreciate your service on the Stormwater Utility Board. Thank you. For our projects, Alljoy is at the top of the list. An update on the comprehensive drainage study for the area. 3 firms were selected out of the 9 that responded to our RFQ to proceed to an interview round. Procurement has set those interviews up for next week, and then we will be announcing the firm once they have been selected. I did get to meet with upper management, and a point of contact has been selected, and we will have a community meeting first of next year, probably very, very first of next year, maybe first week of January next year, to announce the official point of contact and the firm that's been selected for the drainage study, and to take questions from the public at that time.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. So, this was brought up, obviously, during Ms. Herrera's term as stormwater manager, that there would be a point of contact for Alljoy. And it appeared to me, because we were on the email chain, that you were asked a couple of times, was either who the point of contact would be, if the community could have any input at who that would be. And this went on from end of September, October timeframe with no response whatsoever. Were you restricted from answering that question, or did you just not get around to it?
Upper management had instructed us to hold all outgoing information until they had made a decision.
And who
on
was upper management?
Point of contact, our ACA level administrator.
Okay. And did he not even allow you to respond to those emails saying this is a work in progress? I mean, even the courtesy of a response, he was saying that was not allowed?
I did request.
Dennis, if you don't mind, can we hold this till after the meeting? If you don't mind, we don't need to do this in a public setting.
We have questions.
You can ask that question, but this doesn't need to be bantering. So let's do this after the meeting, and we'll have answers.
Very well.
Thank you.
We wouldn't like it on public record.
I did request to respond, so that said citizens did not feel ignored, and I was allowed to send out a courtesy email letting them know that we were in progress and that there was nothing to push out at this time, but that we were working behind the scenes and something would be announced soon.
Okay.
Dennis, I have some answers for that.
Very well.
Okay, the next project on the list is Bay Pines. So this is the project that we were alerted by Hilton Head staff as well as a council member for that area to some flooding that happened after Hurricane Helene and Tropical Storm Debbie, and we have issued a new task order for Beaufort to complete a drainage analysis of this area that will allow us to come up with upgrade recommendations with sound hydraulic modeling for a background. So we're hoping that this will not be a piecemealed solution. We are looking to make sure that the problems in this area don't continue for the foreseeable future. So we are working with Hilton Head staff on that. We also have a task order out to JH Hires for the maintenance shelf establishment and ditch clearing project that went through PFC in November, and it will be presented to council in January. If that passes council in January, we should have boots on the ground very shortly, within weeks after issuing a PO.
I have a question about the Bay Pines
Yes, sir.
comprehensively. Are you working together with Hilton Head on that project, or are you having meetings?
We have had a couple of meetings. We are not meeting at this point. They've given us the information that they have. They actually had a partial model, and they've released that model to the firm that is doing the complete drainage analysis to help out, so that we had a head start on that. And then we will have a meeting when we get the suggestions back from Beaufort
Okay.
at that time. But yes, we are in close contact with Town of Hilton Head
I
staff.
want to make sure that comprehensively we attack this problem, that the county doesn't go in one direction and we don't get everybody that needs to be there, everybody's boots on the ground together.
Yes, sir, absolutely. We are coordinating with their team very closely. The next project on the list is Shell Point. The decision has been made to issue an RFQ for a redo of the drainage study for this area. So we've come to find that the original study was not comprehensive. There were holes, there were watershed contributions that were not included in the hydraulic modeling. And basically, if we were to build a set of plans off of this study, we would be causing more problems than doing good fixing it. So the decision was made to reissue that drainage study out to bid. So that should be coming out from the engineering department first of the year.
Okay. Excuse me, there's nothing showing up on our screens here.
Yes, sir, we've just gone to just having the slides and going through your packet online. Was there something specific that you wanted to
No,
see?
it's just easier to follow along.
Okay. So would you like project names to come up as I go through? Okay, I can do that. The next project is Tuxedo Park. We were asked to complete an internal price verification for this project, and it will be presented at January PFC. So that's the pond dredge project. Were there any questions on Tuxedo Park? I think we've kind of beaten that one to death. Hickory Hill, again, this was one of those one bid projects, and procurement really is buckling down, making sure that we have price verification. So we've come up with an internal estimate from the engineering department to validify the quote that we got from our on-call. And that one will also be presented at January PFC. The Okatee River Park Pond Dam is a result of a passive parks project. They are wanting to create a pathway around a stormwater pond, and the dam is not structurally sound. So we have issued a task order to Beaufort to redesign that pond dam so that when they put the pathway across for the passive parks project, it will be structurally sound. So we are working closely with passive parks to tie in stormwater to that whole project to make sure that everything fits nicely at the end of the design.
Do we have an estimated time of completion?
We do. We're supposed to be getting plans back from Beaufort by February, the end of February, and then we will pass those along to the firm that is working on the design for passive parks. The next one is not quite a project yet, but we're heavily investigating the Royal Pines area. There's specific complaints from 1 Turtle Lane and 4 Needle Rush, and we're looking with DOT at a specific asset to kind of see what the problem is and what between us and DOT we can come up with. We are having quarterly meetings with DOT, coordination meetings, which have been very helpful. So we bring up questions to to DOT about projects that we're doing in their right-of-way, and then they can give us feedback and things like that. So it's expedited the process of getting these projects done.
So the problems at Turtle Lane and Needle Rush are DOT problems?
There is DOT assets that could be contributing to the problem.
Such as?
One culvert that's clogged up and doesn't have positive drainage.
It's the DOT road that goes right in front of it. And just to clarify, it is Needle Rush, not Eagle Rush. It's Eagle Rush on this.
It's Needle Rush,
Okay,
yes.
okay, that's what had me confused. On my packet I printed this morning, it says Eagle.
Okay, I apologize.
It's a,
And then I stuck Arthur Horn on here. It's a future project. We're working, that's the one we have a USDA NRCS grant for. I was told that USDA staff is writing a scope of work for review, and they're gonna attain approval for a federal contractor to begin work. So that's gonna be a really cool project. That's a stormwater wetlandsy kind of feature that was knocked down during Hurricane Matthew, and we're gonna restore the stormwater functions and then also add a nice path around for the community, so it'll become an amenity. We'll have educational signage, and I think it'll just be a really nice area to showcase some stormwater.
We have an estimated time for that?
They have not. We don't even have an estimated amount for that project yet, for a final amount for the funding coming from the grant.
But we have the grant or we don't have the grant?
We do not have, we've had verbal confirmation that we are receiving a grant, but we're going back and forth with the federal entities to complete all paperwork that they want. We had a PIFR done and things like that. And then whenever they finish all of that, they will issue us a final funding amount.
USDA, but they're, but take a while.
Any more questions on the projects? Without that, we'll move on to professional contracts. Wolbert is currently our only on-call for A&E Stormwater Services. I was given official go-ahead to, when their contract is up next year in 2025, and we put out an RFQ, we will be requesting that we have up to 3 firms selected for A&E services. With the new procurement standards, we think that this will allow us to get better price verification and to ensure that we're not just picking one person. And I think it will allow us to have a better insight and get multiple recommendations for each project.
Well, when you talk about on-call, I take it that's like for emergencies?
Not so much, yes, things like Bay Pines, when we have a project that we want plans for in a hurry. We are all learning the new procurement standards, but from what I've understood, it's supposed to expedite the process because they're already vetted. Instead of having to put it out to bid, you're allowed to issue a task order and have internal price verification.
As long as you have 3 different entities?
That depends on the price. So above a certain threshold, you do have to get the 3 quotes, but not if it's below a threshold. I believe that's $150,000. But I can send you the new procurement standards if you would like.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt to look at it.
All right. And then that brings me to the exciting section, our staff update. We have a new senior administrative assistant, Miss Sally McLeod. She started in November, and she has made my life so much easier. She's amazing. Miss Sally has lived in Beaufort County for 3 years. She came by way of the metro Atlanta area. She has many years of experience in the public sector and university system arenas. She's an avid Georgia Bulldog. We'll forgive her for that. She's a wife to her lovely husband, Mr. Mike. She's happy to her 3 grandchildren and mom to their parents. She loves living on Land's End, and she's looking forward to expanding her knowledge in this new position. So we welcome Miss Sally, and as you know, staffing has been an issue of the last couple months, but things are leveling out, thank goodness, to her wonderful presence.
Welcome, Sally.
Are there
The
any?
one thing I will say is that this board has tried to ease the administrative burden of your department. So we will continue to streamline wherever we can, where it makes sense. So again, we welcome you.
Does the board have any questions for me before we move on?
I got a couple. I'll
Go
make
for
it
it.
quick. One was I know we had talked and given recommendations on stuff, and I appreciate the information that you did put in here, but we had, and I really don't know what else to call it, we had 4 pages that I just had to put as poop reports, because we had a lot of information on that. I realize that it's very important, but is there a way to consolidate that as well? In other words, to just kind of trim it down? I mean, I understand there is an initiative and it is important to stormwater, but there's a whole lot of information in there. At least I didn't think we needed. I may be wrong.
In the
Yes,
packet
sir.
that was emailed?
Yeah. For November of 24, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7, 6. And then
What information are you saying is not pertinent?
Well, let's see, number 1 was to promote the dog poop pledge during at least 3 festivals, and that was complete. Ensure there's a minimum of 3 dog poop pledge sign-up areas outside of festivals. That's complete. Distribute dog poop infographic. I mean, that's a lot of poop. I mean, I get it, it is important, but, we could probably collate that into maybe a paragraph or 2.
Yes, sir. I can ask Clemson Extension to send a executive summary along.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, sir.
Lastly, just on the annual financial reports, under the utility updates, is that, maybe Ben could shed some light on that? I mean, we look at those, and it was part of the interagency agreement that we get them by September. What is the ongoing process to get those in time to help with the county do their part? I mean, is this something that we really need to get for you to do your job with these interagency reports, and their either inability or they can't get them to you on time by that cutoff? Is that something that needs to be looked at?
Yes, sir. We would definitely look at that, but I will say that I don't think it was helped by the turnover of employees at the county, because if they did email in their reports, we no longer have access to that email.
Okay.
So even if they did turn in their reports this year, we weren't able to access them.
Okay, I got you. Thanks.
Yeah, that's our excuse.
They were there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Sure. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any unfinished business? Gentlemen? Before I move on to new business, since we have the Public Works Director here, does he wish to speak to us about anything that's going on in his world? Something that is ongoing? Okay.
There'll be some stuff around.
Okay. One of the things that I would like to see for us, I'm not sure we have the ability or the right to see the total layout of staffing, but at least a line diagram of where vacancies exist that we should see once a month or every other month, where we have vacancies within the stormwater department. Probably in Public Works, it wouldn't hurt for us to see.
Yeah, and that's available online, so you can see the public works chart online, it's available, it's updated fairly often, I mean, there's, so
Okay.
it's on the Beaufort County website, if you go to Beaufort County Public Works, the org chart's on there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And it might not break down the, well, yes, everything's broken down.
Is stormwater on there?
Yes, sir, it's all broken down.
Okay, great. Meyer, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any new business to come before us? I can't believe it. Next up, public comment. These people didn't drive all the way from below the Broad to hear me, so is there any public comment from anybody visiting? Yes, Mrs. Wilson,
How are you?
we're fine.
Just real quick, and may I ask a couple questions just for clarification before my time starts? What is RAC? When you mentioned, Taylor, that upper management, RAC admin said not to give Alljoy the information, what's RAC stand for? We don't know.
ACA, Assistant County Administrator,
Oh, and who was that?
Jared Raylis.
Okay. And then one other quick question for the Public Works Director. There was a bunch of work that was done down at Alljoy, pulling out the sticks and stuff like that. What are the plans for that beach area now? Because there's a lot of, they're complaining, we don't do that, we do stormwater ditches, but they're not happy about all the bulkheads that were moved and stuff. So what's gonna happen with the beach, sir?
Last I heard, I don't think, as far as the cleanup process, now, if there's some debris and stuff we need to clean up, we can definitely clean that up. I think last I heard, I don't think we could actually mess with that beach, I don't think we got permission to do a whole lot with that parking or the beach area. We looked into that, and we were told,
Well, we keep hearing sand is being dropped and delivered, and they're not doing permits and things of that nature, so that's why,
we're dropping on the beach.
yes, to replenish. They wanted to replenish. We've just been more
Who is
focused
they?
on our stormwater.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's physically dumping sand on the beach?
That's the plan, yes.
Somebody's doing it actively?
Not actively.
Oh, no, okay.
We have a representative within council that has promoted pulling out the Spartina grass. That's where, we're concerned with that, but we keep hearing and we see the changes down the beach, so we wanted to see what, we actually are grateful for Public Works doing all that work down there, but people are not happy because, like, we have a culvert right now that's coming from underneath Alljoy Road going out onto the May River, and that came out of the last storm. It actually came open. And there's piping that's going out into the May that we don't know where it's from, and people have reached out to us, but that's just not our, thing. So,
I'll have to look and see what that, as far as I know, Public Works shouldn't be doing anything on that beach. Other than maybe some cleanup efforts after the storm, we may have cleaned up some stuff, but
okay,
there was no construction efforts at all.
okay.
Unfortunately, the beach is not in the purview of the Stormwater Board.
Yeah, and that's Beaufort County. It's just that then when they keep calling us, but so I just wanted to clarify that it was Jared Freylocks that said not to provide that information to Alljoy, because we
At the
did,
moment, it is a plan to be pushed out, and I think that
I know.
who is the POC going to be?
we will announce it after the first
See,
of the year.
and that's where we did want input on that. But anyway, I just wanted to come up here and say, last year at this time, in October, we were so grateful. I'm grateful to meet Chairman Feinberg because he heard our plea. And I tell you what, this Stormwater Board rocks. You seriously do. And we appreciate the support that you've given. He came down and saw the ditches at Alljoy, made things start to happen. It popped. We had pushback for 2 months, the Preserve and Protect Alljoy Group found the RIA grant through Bob Williams, put that in. Took us 2 months with the previous stormwater manager begging to put it in on our behalf, but now we do have a survey happening, which is wonderful. Also, we had heard about this beautiful 2019 Stormwater Alljoy survey that was done. We were 2 more months asking for you, but it never had occurred. Then, coming in, and I tell you, it was frustrating. But again, I appreciate your support because I'm like, my brain just couldn't compute. When you have things and somebody says they want to help us, and then it's just no can do, no can do. And then when the meeting that was held, the public meeting in July that wasn't advertised, once again, kind of keeping it down, and y'all came. And leadership of council came. And let me tell you, Alljoy just got blessed and loved on in July. Finally, after all those months, all of our ditches were. And so when we got hit by Tropical Debbie, we were ready. And we thank you. And I wish Mr. Carter was here too, because You know what, sometimes, and now, not getting an email answered for 2 months, it's frustrating. But you know what? We're all joy. And we love you guys, and I thank you again for your support. But we really want to thank these crews, because these Beaufort County crews, and Stephen and his guys, we are so appreciative. And I know folks roll around when they see them and stop and drop drinks and so forth, but we thank you. And we just look forward to good, positive movement forward for the new year. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. I'm sure our Public Works Director will pat Mr. Carter and his crews on the back for a job well done. Again, all I can say is that that's why we're here. We're here to listen to the public and assist wherever we can. We may not have any purse strings, right? But it's our job to listen to the public and hopefully guide our public servants in the right direction. And so we have been using, we have other issues in the county. We have other areas that suffer from stormwater issues for years that we weren't aware of. And we're taking the appropriate action now. And we use All Joy as our model of what can be done. So I don't think anybody here says that we will throw up our hands ever and say it can't be done. There's always a price, and we have to balance that, and that's not our job. That is county council and the people you vote for. So,
And we thank council reach out in a positive manner, which again, we're grateful for.
so
Thank you.
I thank you for your kind words. It's really the people up here that make it happen, all right? So we like win-wins. Anybody else? You all came from All Joy. Yes, sir.
Jim Lawton again. Just to reiterate, if we could get the message out on that January meeting ASAP, I mean, really blast it.
What is the preferred method of getting that information to the community?
Well, we have residents that are not on social media. The most successful one, the first bike path get-together, there were posters put out. But I think because it's coming right after the holidays, we need to start advertising now.
As soon as I know the date, I will push it out in multiple forms.
Okay, thank you.
I don't want to belabor this, but it looks like we can now take a look at the next meeting agenda. I would ask Ms. Brewer, is Mr. Sullivan amenable to speaking at our next meeting? Or is
I will
that?
ask him, it was very unexpected for him not to be able to attend today, so I will check with him on the February date.
Okay, well, that will be a change if he's available, but we'll leave him off at the current time since we don't have any commitment. Is there any comment about the next agenda? There being no comment, can we have an approval for the next agenda?
Sure. Make a motion to approve next February's agenda.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes for the next agenda. Again, I thank everybody for coming. I thought there would be more information and more people with issues. I'm sort of glad that there isn't. That means we're doing our job. And Ms. Brewer's people are doing their jobs. It's tough to keep up with the older neighborhoods that we have in Beaufort County. We try to look at new construction very closely, but those that have been here for 30, 40, and 50 years and had lots of construction all around them, all right, suffer. And we need to find a way to help them. And we will continue within our purview to make that happen. So again, I wish everybody a happy holiday and a safe holiday. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Amen, amen.
I thought that lady was.